What have we got today? Oh my God, what is it? Well, this actually is probably one of the finest amps in the world that you've never heard of. Silly fool you for not listening. But listen, I can tell you, there's a story behind this amp and me. And yeah, it just reminds me of a guy that I used to know reasonably well. A guy named Awesome John, if you've ever heard of him. And if you haven't, well, just go on the internet and type in Awesome John. He was a guitarist, and he used to tell me that he looked like Fred Flintstone, but in reality, he did. Oh, he was a great guy. He died a year or so ago, something like that, a couple of years maybe. Time's a funny thing. But one of the things that he told me when he was around, in fact, just 6 months before he was no longer there, Tony, you need to get one of these amps. You need to go and get one. It's no maybe or buts or ifs or whatever. Yeah, you need to get one of these. I said, well, awesome. I've never heard of them. What's all that about? He kept on and on and on. And he kept on. Now, the thing is, for that guy, when he keeps on like that, he really believes in what he says. And that's a good thing. Yeah, having a bit of, passion about what he's using. And he was using, I think at the time, a sister amp to this one. Not this one, but very similar, but not quite the same. Now, those years ago, I think it's fair to say that this amp brand was even less known than it is today. And if you know what it is, great. But if you don't know what it is, well, have a guess now. Don't carry on the videos. Put it down there what you think it is. You might guess it or you might not. Unless you can see actually what it says it is. Hopefully you can't. And if you can, well, it's all good fun. I looked at it at the time and I got all the specifications. I called this guy who owns the company, Pierre Angelo. Yeah, I'd never heard of him either. Awesome John had. And he said, oh, what a great guy. I went through all the specs and all the rest of it, and I wish I'd bought it at that time, but I didn't. One of the things that put me off at the time, and it's no secret, I like to have amps in different colours and things like that, reds or white. Or I've got a lot of black ones, but that's only because I couldn't get anything else, and I wanted something different. Indeed, for the money that it was, I definitely wanted something different. And yeah, ultimately, I didn't buy one because I couldn't get the colours and things like that. It's just stupid. It's me being stupid. I'm like that. Don't agree. But in any case, Awesome John passed. And just this year in January or February, I was thinking about him. He's a great guy and a sort of prodigy, if you will. He could play so fast, he was crazy. And I was thinking about him. And I thought, maybe I should give Pier Angelo an email, because I'd still got his email, and see what he says. And he came back to me and he said, Tony, I remember you. Yes, of course I do. Everything's changed. Things have changed with this brand. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and the rest of them are all using this now, but they don't tell anybody. I thought that was what do you mean they don't tell anybody? Oh yeah, they're on all the albums and the rest, and I've got some video of these guys using the amps in the studios and the rest of it. Oh, who are these guys? Oh, like the Joe Satrianis of this world and the Steve Vais. There's loads of guys. There's loads of them. Absolutely loads of them. And you're going to see who they are later in the video, because I've got a piece of video that I crowbarred out of Pier Angelo. He very kindly let me use some of that later. Saves a bit of time. Oh my God, what brand is it then? What makes it so different? Makes it the #1 amp in the world. What does? Well, you're going to find out. Well, let's take the name out. Let's get the name in front of you, eyeballing close. You ready? It's like a Samsung ad. Mezzabarba. 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 Oh, yeah, I can see you now. Who the hell's Mezzabarba? Well, trust me, you're going to want to know. They make a lot of different amps, and this is one of them. This one's been custom made for me by the guy that matters, the owner of the company, and I'm telling you now, before we look inside it, let's get rid of that. You're going to be shocked how good it is. I've never seen any tube amp to this quality inside, and I already know how this sounds. It's another planet, it's another world. I have to say they're not cheap, and especially with the pound dropping against the euro, who knows why? I mean, the euro's useless. And I guess in America with the dollar it'll be more expensive than it would have been some while ago. But that's not detracting from the amplifier, and I'll tell you for why. Simply because when you buy one of these, you'll have it for life. How many amps have you bought over and over and over again, these different model amps, and when the next one comes out you go and buy one of them, or you buy one of these, or you get the idea. How much have you spent on an amp? Oh my God, you wouldn't comprehend how much you've spent. So it's one of the reasons I bought this, and yes, I did buy it. It cost me thousands of euros, literally thousands, but we'll talk about pricing and the rest of it later on. I'm more interested in the amp, aren't you? Yeah. By the way, it does come with the controller wire and the controller. But I had an option fitted on this one that actually makes it either work with that or MIDI. So you can flip between one or the other. You can't use two at once, by the way, so don't ask. Well, there's the pedal. I've never even opened the damn thing yet, so it looks like a pretty standard pedal to me. It says here M-Zero, Boost, Overdrive and Master 2. Yeah, it's basically rock and roll. You plug it in, turn it on, and whoa. So let's take the amp out of the chassis and take a look at what you're really paying for. Other than the sound, of course. If it's good enough for those other guys, and we'll be naming them any second, but it's good enough for you, well, we'll name them now. Yeah, the Joe Satriani's of this. In fact, if you go and get his last album, in the tiny little print on there, this amp is actually on there. But you never noticed it, or you just didn't. What the hell's that? Or. That's something you need to get past. You need to understand this brand, learn about this brand, because they make lots of different models. They make cheaper ones too. But I can tell you now, it doesn't matter which one you won't go for. They're all absolutely rock and roll. Let's have a look inside. I'm going to get the chassis out. It's hard to do. Okay, well, I've got the chassis out of its box behind us here. Very nice it is too. And the first thing you'll notice, you could never not spot them, is these two great big fat red things. Well, this is a power transformer, and that's an output transformer. You can see the output transformer is a bit of a chunky beast. In fact, it looks almost as chunky as the power transformer, but not quite. I noticed that on this amp they're using tube amp Dr. tubes as standard. All these are number 3. I can see all the match codes down here. Not much more you can say about them, except that, well, they're probably some of the best tubes you can get hold of. You know, they've been tested and tested and tested until there's nothing left to fail. All the failed ones go in the bin. So that's why they're better, not because the originating brand was X, Y or Z, but because of the testing. The power supply is one huge chunky beast. There's no doubt about that. This one's set to 230 volts on this amp. Well, I'm not surprised because I'm in Europe. Well, let's say England these days. I'm not Europe anymore, or won't be soon with a bit of luck. I'm not a European Europhile, you know, I'm not one of them guys. So, on the output transformer, the same again, big fat transformer, like I said. It makes the amp heavy, but you're getting transformers that are likely to be there in 50 years' time, which probably matters. Yeah, not to me, it'll be long gone. But these will probably still be around, strangely enough. How weird's that? Coming back to the top of the thing here, you've got a An inductance of 5 Henrys a choke. Yeah, well, I've seen them kicking around on different amps between 3 and 10 and things like that. So this one's 5, very nice. And if you look at the tubes, right, I think there are variations in these tubes. But this one, I can get it out. Yeah, it's a TAD ECC 83 selected, which is what I'd love to see. And indeed, I did see. So I'm all into that. It's all great stuff. We move along a bit here. Let's have a look at what else we've got. Not sure what that one is. Let's pull it out and have a look. That one happens to be, well, what does it? Hard to see. Good question. It says here 6N4 or GN4J. Well, I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't really matter. It's something different. There's no point in pulling them all out one at a time and working through them. Except to say they're all there for a reason. I'm sure that that one there is there for a very good reason. Yeah. So that's the top of the amp. Have a look around the back of it, down here. Well, let's think of that now. Okay, well, I'm going to go from this end and I'm going to go across to that end, and we'll just talk a little bit about what's there and what isn't. I won't go into hyper depth because there isn't really that much to look at. As I said, input voltage there. This one's serial number 1804, which was April, and it says 78. Number 78 or not, I don't know, but that's what it is. Then we've got a mains fuse. We've got a HT fuse. And a switch in the middle that says 120 or 240. I hope that's switchable between voltages. It probably is by the look of that. Yeah, looks to me like it's switchable between 120 and 240, so you could wander off around the world with this amp. Great. We've got a foot switch connector here, which can also be MIDI. So you've got a foot switch up there, which no doubt you'll get to see if you haven't already. We've got master 2, channel number, boost and prog and all the rest of it. So it's all programmable and settable. And I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'm just telling you it's there. We've got a send and return. We've got a slave out and a slave level. Okay, so send and return. That's about it. I believe it's serial. We've got, to my friend Tony, thank you, the man that made it. Yeah, Pier Angelo. Yeah, thanks very much. Excellent. We got a 16 ohm, we got the 8 ohms, and we got some 4 ohms, and that's about it on the back. You don't really see much of anything anywhere, but you do see along this end, if you look carefully, CE approvals and all that sort of stuff, ROSH compliance and all the rest of it, which I always like to see on equipment. And you know, this guy, obviously, he's in Europe and it's compliant with what it should be, and that's what matters. You don't want to get killed, do you? Let me flip the chassis round and let's go and have a quick look at the front. This amp had a couple of modifications done to it that aren't there as standard, if you get me. It can be this or it can be that, depending on what you order. Okay, well, here's the front of the amp, and the first thing you'll encounter is the input, which is pretty obvious, really. From there on, we've got a bright switch and a boost switch for this first one. So the drive drives volume 1 with a master 1 and a master 2, by the way. So it's in effect balance everything up very nicely. And the overdrive is for channel 2 on volume 2. So you've got this one for this one and this one for this one. You've got that. We've got a bass, middle and treble. That's a shared EQ. And then we've got this master 1 and master 2, like I said. That, as you'll see, these are like stickers up the front here, if you can see that. And that's because I wanted a 2-master volume amp rather than having something that I couldn't get the volumes right and things like that. So it lets you do a lot of things. I had the amp built to what I wanted, remember, not what you wanted. So anybody who tells me this is right or wrong, well, it's what I wanted. That's simple. And we've got a presence that probably works on everything. yeah, not much else you can say about that. We've got a standby on, and that power light that, remember, is driven by a LED, which is very nice. Not really that much else to see here, except if you look at the chassis, although I've convinced myself that it is paint, it feels like it's been, you know, powder coated almost. Very nice finish. And Mazzotti, by the way, is one of the other brands that this company owns, and they've been around a long time. All I can tell you is these are built to last. Yeah. So, nothing else on the top. I think we can flip it over and take a look underneath. And that's more exciting than anything else that you'll see just looking at the amp. I mean, it's just an awesome place to be. Let's go take a look. Okay, well, here we are inside the amp. And I have to say right off, this is probably the finest built amp that I've ever seen inside. I mean, I've seen some amps, you know, hundreds of amplifiers over the years. I've never seen one that's been built to this specification, this quality. It absolutely reeks of quality. And, you know, you can see, well, when you get where I can, you can see all the very high quality components that have been used. Even got Mallory capacitors, things like that, you know, real high quality stuff. So as you take a look at it, I see lots of different things, some of which I've never seen in a design before. I don't mean electrically, I mean just physically and how it looks and what it is. Bear in mind that this amp was really, by design, I guess it's an old style that's been brought up to a newer style. And you know, you got things like this, these little relays that are switching things in and out on a regular handmade board, which is quite incredible, really. So you've got the power side over here. Some very nice switches, look just the same as what Marshall did, strangely enough. And one of the interesting things I thought was this little, you know, the power LED, or the power bulb, should I say, normally. This one's actually is a LED. And there it is, it's not going to be failing anytime soon. As you move across it and you get away from this this power supply section, you've got this other little section with this little controller on. Who knows what it is? I didn't ask Pier Angelo what it was, but probably it relates to the bias. It may not, who knows? But that doesn't matter. We're here to take a look at the overall quality. Take a look at this down here. You can see the amount of work that's gone into getting that exactly the way he wanted to get it. Amazing stuff. If we move down that end, you'll see a board here that's actually a MIDI board to drive this amp, which is also, it's an option. But I wanted the ability to use MIDI with this amp because I've got all the MIDI gear, you know, all the controllers and things like that. I just thought it'd be a good idea. So we got Sprague, more Sprague caps and that sort of thing. As I say, the design's quite exceptional, really. And as I said, he made these little daughter boards. You'll see them spread around for the extra bits and pieces, I guess, to make this amp what it really is. It's one awesome amplifier. I don't think there's anything I can say about the inside, honestly, whatsoever. I couldn't criticise anything, not a single thing. It's absolutely a work of art, and he did an incredible job. Let's go a bit closer and take a look at some of the other bits. So there's that sort of power supply section down here. You can see how it's been made. I mean, if you can get to see the sort of quality even of the solder joint. You know, you don't hear me harping on much about solder joints, except usually how bad they are. Take a look at the solder joints in that orange Jim Root. That's a good example of something not that great. But on this, every single joint, no, not that solder joint, every one of these types of solder joints, or solder joints as they say in the States, is absolutely perfect, and it goes all the way along the board. You can see these connections and how they've been completed are absolutely stunning. That's the word I'd use. So there's a little bias board, if it is a bias. I think it probably is. It might not be, but we'll call it that for now. Now I do want to draw your attention to this little section that's been wired in a really, really nice way. Very different than what you see on a lot of amps. What he's effectively done, he's made rails, you can see them going all the way along here, between the tubes. So instead of having all that messy wiring all around the tube sockets, you've seen it thousands of times, and so have I. He's in effect made a buzz for each type of connector that is common throughout the tubes. Quite a really elegant way of doing things, I think. It's not one I've seen before, so it's quite incredible, really. You look at the wiring up here as well, on this little daughter board. This looks after the MIDI and things like that. You can see it's absolutely, it's really pristine. There's no other word you could use. Again, looking at that main board, you can see that the solder quality, the joint quality, is exceptional. It's really exceptional, and not something you're going to see every day on, well, any of the other amps that I've seen. Quite amazing stuff. And again, you see that little daughter board there, where, you know, the designer has, looks to me like it's a relay, something like that. I don't really care. Doesn't matter. It's just the quality of the thing overall. I also like the how the MIDI board sits off at one end, and it's all been sort of crowbarred into the design somehow. I wouldn't have a clue how to do it myself, but again, you can see that the sort of quality in the area that we're looking at. And again, there's no cut corners with components or anything like that. There's nothing cheap in this amp whatsoever. It really is well made. I'm back. Oh, that was hard work, especially getting it back in the case and getting it out in the first place. It's heavy. I've got a manual here. Yeah, Mezzabarba custom amplification. They make Mazzotti, or Mazzotti, depends how you say it, I guess. Being Italian, Mazzotti. No, I'm kidding. It's what it is anyway. I'll call it Mazzotti. And yeah, they have a line of amps which are sort of cheaper level of amp. I can hear that pigeon on the roof, can you? Well, if you can, ignore him. If you can't, well, it's summer. Leave him alone. Yeah, but these ones, the Mezzabarba, are custom made. So you can have, within reason, all the things you want. So it improved since that original time when I was speaking with Awesome John and Pierangelo. So here's mine. But here's your manual. You've got all these various options. Just a simple printed manual. But it's got a load of, you know, here we are. The M-Zero, this is what he says, the man that made it. The M-Zero is my personal dream, the ultimate amp, as I have always envisioned it, with no compromises on dynamics or technology. And trust me, there are no compromises. This is why I undertook the project without worrying about budget or production constraints. I wanted to create my best amp ever, period. And I did this by drawing up every little bit of experience and passion I could. That's what he says. Inspired by the founding fathers of amplification, I stood on their shoulders and tried to look beyond. And I can tell you, man, he did. He definitely looked beyond. He developed an amp like nothing you will ever find anywhere else. That, to me, that's a master. That's a guy that's at the peak. And no doubt he'll take it further. Because those sort of guys, that's what they do, isn't it? That's how the M-Zero Overdrive was born. It says a double preamp channel amp that combines elegance, brute force, infinite array of overtones. I based its engineering on point-to-point technology, not for its superior quality compared to PCBs, which it is, but because it allowed me to listen and mould in real time the emotional impact of the output. Just as a tailor, I seamed sound, electrons and energy into what I believe to be my masterpiece. This is why it carries my name. Pierangelo Mezzabarba. Strangely, I went and did a little bit of research, and Mezzabarba is actually a sort of little town or village in Italy. So he goes back a long way somehow. No doubt if you ask him, he'll tell you. So very interesting, very nice. And you run through the amp here. There's all these, plug these in as you will type of thing. Turning it on, basic sounds, usage and maintenance. Well, not much maintenance, I can tell you that. Fuses, troubleshooting, warranty. By the way, that's always worth talking about because I love this sort of thing. Limited lifetime warranty. New Mezzabarba amplifiers are lifetime warranty to the original purchaser against failure of parts, materials and workmanship. If purchased through an authorised dealer, no other warranty applies. Well, I bought it direct, so I guess that counts. Hopefully. I'm quite confident that Pierangelo will stand by this amp as long as he's alive. I'm totally confident about that. Anyway, customization options. Your M-Zero can be equipped with a dual master control upon request, which I did. We're at your complete disposal to discuss any other solution to optimize your M-Zero. And on it goes. There's loads of stuff. CE certification, which I like. It's all good. Basically, it's all good. And that's why this thing's under review. Yeah? Yeah, you don't want any old cheap and nasty Chinese. No, you don't. It's what it says. Custom amplification. Here's a few of the guys that use it and the video from Mezzabarba. Yeah. By the way. Man, did you see them guys? I wish I had a tenth of the ability that they've got in their little finger to play this. Yeah, I'm just an ordinary guy, just probably like most of you guys, you know. I'm no, arena guy. In fact, it's out in the studio, or I don't go out on the road anymore, so it's a studio amp for me. But it could be anything to anybody, couldn't it? It's loud, but you probably wouldn't put it in your bedroom. But they got other amps for that, so that's all good. Yeah, you need to go on YouTube and do a little bit of checking, and I'll put a few links down there in the text where you can go and see these other guys doing demos of how it's played, how they play it, at least. I'll do my best, but I've got another mate that I'm going to try and get in. Now, he'll either come in and do this, or he won't, because he's a busy fella. And yeah, he plays really, really good guitar. And I've recorded him off and on, and mastered his music. So if I can get him in, he's going to have a go at that. And I'll probably have a go myself, yeah, because it's one of them things where we can all join in. You're coming, aren't you? Now, what about price? Threepence each? 10 cents? No. These amplifiers, I mean, all the ones I've seen have been in euros or dollars. If you go onto the distributor side, that's also down there for the USA where you can get it from. And also Mezzabarba's website where you can go and have a look if you're in Europe. Yeah, you can go and check them out, so to speak. But the prices, I mean, you'll have no change out at least $3,000 or $4,000. Yeah, at least. I had no change out of about at least 3,000 euros. Let's put it that way. With the modifications, the different this and the things I put in it, I had put in it. And the MIDI board was like, I think it's €350. It's not cheap, but it has its place. So to me, it was worth it. To you, it may not be. So what else can I tell you about this amp? Well, not a lot really. You're going to hear it, which is the most important thing. And this has been a small growing company that's grown extremely rapidly of recent times, and some of these top guitarists in the world, as you've seen, use this equipment. Why? Well, that's simply because it's the best. There's no ifs or buts. It has a great sound. If you're into rock or metal, this is the amp. Now, it can do the blues and it can do a lot of other stuff as well, but my advice would be to go and have a look at their website, because they've got different amps for different solutions. You know what I mean? It depends what you play. If you're going to be playing, I don't know, Frank Sinatra music, maybe this is not the amp. But they'll have amps that will do it. Anyway, what else can I say? Not a lot. I want to thank Pier Angelo, Mezzabarba, for allowing me to use his video, and indeed for supplying the amp in a good time. And that little signature on the back, I like that. Thanks, Pierre. It's yeah, it's good. Anything else? No, it's going to speak for itself any few moments that away. And yeah, it sounds absolutely awesome. It's as good as anything you can buy. And I could almost, well, I could take off the Mesa Boogie Road King and put it down on the floor and put this in its place. Indeed, who knows? I may do that. This is a different level of product. You'll get to see it. So, don't forget to visit www.tennymckenzie.com. If I get the time, I'll put it on the website in a write-up, which is always better than the review in this way. But it takes such a long time to do this stuff. I mean, it's been weeks and weeks. I've been on vacation and all sorts in between. So, what else can I tell you? Nothing. Go buy one. That's the answer. Listen to it now. Get on the website and buy one. Mortgage your house. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Trust me. It's just money. You want the sound, don't you? Yeah, you do. Yeah. So, until next time. I tell you what, don't forget to look down there, because it's got all the Mezzabarba distributors and things like that on it, which has got to be useful. And you can go and, you know, I'll put a few links into some of the players playing this amp that I think are really awesome, and you'll probably agree when you see them. Yeah, they make me look like an idiot. Well, I am an idiot. Just like, oh, no, I'm going to say that, aren't I? So until next time, here's the playing. Don't forget I showed you first, Mezzabarba. Yeah, awesome. Score? Oh my God, 10 out of 10. All day, all night, even for the board inside, 10 out of 10. Even for every single wire, every tube, 10 out of 10. Now get out of here.